We begin with Canada's fight to get the cost of living under control, a fight some Canadians say is a losing battle based on new data. Let's take a look at that. This is the new average monthly rent in Canada, for the first time surpassing $2,000 according to rentals.ca. The price of gas, it's also climbing right across the country, hitting a 2023 high in some cities. The average today is $1.69 per litre. In Vancouver and Victoria, it tops $2 per litre. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is blaming Justin Trudeau and his government for the affordability crisis. Let's get the NDP's take. Jagmeet Singh is the leader of the new Democratic Party. He is in Nanaimo, British Columbia. Mr. Singh, thanks so much for joining us. You know, I don't have to tell you that the affordability crisis in this country is hitting Canadians on many fronts, from fuel to food, services. But, you know, I want to zero in right now on housing. Your supply and confidence agreement deal with the Liberals is called Delivering for Canadians Now. So how exactly is that deal delivering affordable housing to Canadians right now?
First of all, I want to acknowledge how bad things are. Things are really difficult when it comes to housing. One of the biggest concerns I'm hearing across the country. And what we're doing is, with the deal that we have, we're using our leverage and our power to force this government to build more homes that are affordable quickly. That's what we really need to do. Liberals have had 8 years and they failed to do so. The Conservatives had 10 years before that. They lost 800,000 affordable homes. We need to build more homes that are affordable rapidly, and we're going to use our power to force this government to do that.
But is it actually rapidly? I mean, this is needed right now. Do you think that the government is moving fast enough?
Not at all. The Liberal government has really failed on this front. They are very out of touch. The Liberals and Justin Trudeau don't understand how serious this is, haven't taken enough action. That's why we need to put pressure on them to act.
Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, says Canada needs to build 5.8 million new homes, including 2 million rental units by 2030 to tackle housing affordability. Current federal programs and funding will barely make a dent in that supply shortage. So do you regret not pushing for more ambitious funding and targets in your deal with the Liberals?
No, we're going to push for that now. And I want to acknowledge that the federal government has the land, the money, and the power to build more homes. We want to see the federal government actively engaged in building more homes. The Liberals are thinking that the private sector will just do it on its own. That's not going to happen. The Conservatives just want to do more of the same. That's not going to work. We need the federal government to use the land, the power, and the resources that it has to build homes, and do it with a wartime effort. Really, every resource available, mobilized to building more homes.
So why not, Mr. Singh, why not amend your agreement with them to include that, to include new targets so that this can be done faster?
Well, we've shown that we're not limited by the agreement. We were able to double the GST rebate 2 years in a row. That was not in the agreement. It was something we proposed last year. We got it done. We got it done again this year, and that put now over 2 years over $1,000 into the pockets of some families. That's something that we were able to achieve without having it expressly in the agreement. The agreement gives us the ability to negotiate and force this government to do more. Housing is one of the priorities that we have, and we want the government to deliver on housing.
Well, you know, a growing number of Canadians blame Justin Trudeau and the Liberals for the rising cost of living. You know, this is something that, you know, you are continually criticized about. You say that, you know, you want the government to do more, but then some Canadians think that you're just propping up this government. Why do you continue to do so? Why don't you rip up that agreement, say you're not getting this done, and so this agreement does not stand?
Our goal is to force government to deliver. The agreement lays out a number of things that we're getting this government to do that they wouldn't otherwise do, like dental care. They would love to get out of doing that. If we rip up the agreement, then they won't deliver on dental care. We've got to force them to do that so that people can get their teeth looked after. We want that to happen. In addition, we want this government to deliver on housing. Unlike the Conservatives, whose goal is just to force an election, our goal is to force this government to work for people. And one of the things they need to do right now is to deliver housing. The Liberals have had 8 years, and they've shown that they're not doing it unless we're forcing them. And so we're going to force them, use the power that we have to deliver. Frankly, neither the Liberals or the Conservatives can be trusted to do this on their own. The Conservatives had 10 years in power. They lost 800,000 affordable homes. the price of housing went up 60% while they were in power, and now another 60% while the Liberals are in power. That's why we're so crucial. New Democrats are needed to force government to work for the people's benefit.
Well, I mean, but some say that you could be forcing them to do that if you did not have this agreement, and this agreement is hampering you. I printed it from March 2022 on your website. You know, some of the things: a better healthcare system, making life more affordable for people, tackling the climate crisis and creating good-paying jobs, and it goes on and on. But, you know, other than dental care, what really can you say you've delivered on this front?
Certainly. 10 paid sick days. That was now the law of the land. We forced the government to do that. 300,000 kids have received dental care coverage, plus have already received it now. Seniors and kids under 18 will receive it by the end of this year. We've also put childcare legislation in force, which ensures that childcare dollars that help millions of families get affordable childcare is permanent, and we prioritize not-for-profit and public spaces. We've achieved a lot, and a lot more that needs to be done. We've changed the definition around affordability to make a better definition when it comes to the affordable homes, so that federal dollars go towards projects that actually deliver affordable homes. We also, for the first time ever, tied funding for incentives for business to jobs. For the first time ever, a tax credit will only be received the full amount if a company creates jobs that have good wages and tied to union jobs as well as apprenticeships. So we've achieved a lot more that needs to be done, particularly with the rising cost of food, the rising cost of groceries, and the rising cost of housing. We forced the Competition Bureau to investigate food prices. They've released recommendations which are forcing the government to put in place. We've called the CEOs of big grocery stores to committee. We forced them to answer questions. We found that their greed is driving up the cost of food, and we're proposing real solutions. We've done a lot with the power that we have.
Would you not have more leeway here to do more if you did not have this agreement in place?
Not at all. This agreement forces the government to do a number of things that they wouldn't otherwise do. If we didn't have the agreement, the government wouldn't do those things. This is what's forcing them. We put it in writing.
So let me ask you about something else that you want done. Pharmacare. That plan is estimated at $15 billion. Would you be willing to put that priority on pause to deal with more urgent issues like people being able to afford a roof over their heads? Because $15 billion is a lot of money that could be going elsewhere.
Well, there's a lot of waste that we would disagree with this government continue to spend. There's billions of dollars in subsidies going to oil and gas companies that are highly profitable. That's billions of dollars that we would immediately end and say that money should not be going to highly profitable companies that are already making record profits, and instead should be used towards things like building more homes that are affordable. We also know that hundreds of millions of dollars are being used by this government to contract out to other companies, consulting companies. That's money that's being wasted that shouldn't be spent. We know that there's billions of dollars of revenue that the CRA is not collecting because they're not being told to go after large corporations that are using loopholes to get away with not paying their fair share. This isn't increasing taxes. This is just collecting what is already owed. That's billions of dollars of lost revenue. So there's billions and billions of dollars that this Liberal government's wasting that we would use toward housing. And pharmacare is something that would be a cost savings. Once we put in place, it would reduce the cost of healthcare. It would ensure people get medication that they need and stay healthy.
I've got a couple more things to get through real quick here. But, you know, I've been looking at recent polling. And as you know, I don't have to tell you, recent polling shows that if election were called today, the Conservatives would win a pretty good majority. It also shows that, you know, you're basically unchanged. Your party's basically unchanged since 2021. So what is it about Pierre Poilievre's message on affordability and this crisis that is resonating when yours doesn't seem to be resonating as much? Are you losing the room here?
I think what often happens in Canada historically when people are upset with one party, with the Liberals, they switch to the blue team, to the Conservatives. And that's the cycle that goes back and forth. When the Conservatives are out of favor, people then switch to the Liberals. And that's been the history of Canada. We're trying to show that there's an alternative here. When it comes to things like housing, the Conservatives were in power. Housing costs went up by 60% while they were in power. They lost 800,000 affordable homes while they were in power. They did not deliver on affordability. And Liberals are also completely a failure when it comes to housing. They have not delivered. We're showing the New Democrats are a real alternative. We've got a plan to use the power of government, the land, the power, and the resources of the federal government to build homes that are affordable, to tackle the cost of living when it comes to groceries by taking on the corporate greed. Neither Conservatives or Liberals are willing to do that either.
I know the Conservatives are also trying to tie you directly with the Liberals. Lots more to talk about on that front, but I want to switch to something else before I let you go. I have to ask you about your plans to review classified documents related to alleged Beijing-backed meddling in Canadian elections. Now, Green Party leader Elizabeth May, she is frustrated by the lack of detail in those documents. She says that they don't do what David Johnston said that they would do, which was to review his conclusions and judge whether or not they are warranted. So do you intend to go forward with reviewing these documents, and why have you not done so far?
Yes, I plan to review those documents. We've got a date scheduled for next week, and my team can give you more details about that, but we'll be reviewing those documents by next week.
So what has taken so long for you to review these documents? Obviously, it is of great importance to the integrity of Canadian elections that, you look at these things and give your assessment of this.
We followed the process. It required a number of steps. We followed those steps, and we've got a date scheduled for next week.
Okay. Mr. Singh, thank you so much. Lots more to talk about, as I said, but we got to leave it there for today. That is NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh joining us from Nanaimo, British Columbia.